Mr. President, the PM likes to engage in revisionist history. In plain Jamaican language, him like make up things. He suggested that Michael Manley mash up Jamaica, but we must mash down that lie. And to mash it down, we must tell the truth. The truth, Mr. President, will set us free. Let us start with the 1960s. Mr. President, the Prime Minister proudly declared that Bustamante's statement, "We are with the West," was somehow a principled one. Wasn't the West responsible for our colonization, our enslavement and oppression? Weren't our brothers and sisters in Africa fighting to free themselves from the West? In the Prime Minister's optimistic reading of the stewardship of the Jamaica Labour Party in the first 10 years of independence, he said, quote, "The period between 1962 and 1972 saw political stability, the fastest pace of growth and development of the Jamaican economy and the build-out of our institutions," end quote. Mr. President, we must smash down these lies. In actuality, the fastest period of growth was in the 1950s, continued into the 60s, and it began to slow towards the end of the decade. Mr. President, you might remember the Ethiopian song, "Everything Crash." That was released in 1968. And what did they say? They said everybody was on strike, down to the policeman. They said, and what go on by the morning can't come go that evening. Poverty rose in the 60s. Urbanization surged. And between 1962 and 72, unemployment almost doubled, rising from approximately 13% to 22%. People lacked piped water. Illiteracy was at 53% in 1970. No black person could work as a teller in a bank. People lived in squalor and had little access to decent housing. Yes, this was a time of growth. But more critically for the descendants of Africans enslaved in Jamaica, it was a time of great inequality and impoverishment. The 1960s were a turbulent political period which saw black people shut out of power. In 1963, Bustamante sent the police and the army to hunt Rastafarians in what became known as Bad Friday. They were tortured and killed, Mr. President. Bustamante banned black nationalist books, including Black Beauty. And his successor, Hugh Shearer, banned Walter Wardney for what he called bringing alien black power ideologies to Jamaica. It was the 1960s, Mr. President, when the then Minister of Development, Edward Seaga, built housing in West Kingston for his people. And to do so, he bulldozed the shacks in the shanties, burned them to the ground, and sent the police to take children away from their parents after they had been forced to sleep in Maypen Cemetery and on the sidewalks. The irony, Mr. President, is that the beneficiaries of this displacement and violence who loyally defended the Jamaica Labour Party under garrison politics would later become victims of state violence. We cannot forget the 2010 Tivoli incursion, Mr. President. 73 dead in just 3 days. 73 in just 3 days. Mr. President, the Prime Minister gave us some context for the budget debate, and I thought it important to speak to the context in order to speak to the provisions within the budget. And the context is very important to understanding where we are today. The question is, how will your side be remembered by history? I know for sure that Michael Manley was remembered well. The data tells us so. 3 years after he died, people in this country said he was the Prime Minister who had done the most for the lot of Jamaican people. It really strikes us, and we have to ask why the Prime Minister is so concerned with Michael Manley. We would like to know why he is so concerned with Michael Manley, and one really has to wonder whether the Prime Minister bad mind Michael. We have to wonder if the Prime Minister bad mind Michael. And I really have to say one thing, and that is that he should take his mind off of Michael so that we can talk about the present.